Today's episode is a really exciting one for us because it's our first ever international podcast. We're in Singapore, and while we're here, we had the chance to sit down with the powerhouse behind Yochi's opening in Singapore and the entrepreneur behind the Meat Club, Amy Bell. In this chat, Amy shares why she and her family chose Singapore, how the idea for the Meat Club came to life, and what continues to intrigue her about the food industry, particularly within Singapore's vibrant market. We love this conversation and can't wait for you to hear it. Welcome, Amy.
Hi, Xanny. Thank you.
So to start us off, could you just tell us a little bit about your journey and how you ended up in Singapore?
Oh, wow. I absolutely can. It's going back 13 to 14 years now, actually. My husband and I moved over here to start Guzman & Gomez in Singapore. So he is with a partner and a master franchisee for Asia. Mm-hmm. And that was a catalyst for us to come over here. I was a lawyer in a former life. He was a banker. And now we're both in hospitality.
Wow, what a change.
Yes, 360 is probably an understatement.
Okay, so you originally moved over here for Guzman & Gomez, but I understand you also started something called the Meat Club. Tell us about that.
I did. So looking back, I was actually pregnant at the time, and I was working at a consulting firm here in Singapore.
Okay.
Having transitioned from law to a sports consultant. For one reason or another, I was actually made redundant at about 7 to 8 months pregnant. And to be like, I see you, but I was probably the worst employee at the time. I was quite distracted between GYG, another frozen yogurt concept actually called Cocoa Whip at the time.
Yeah.
So my attention was probably not necessarily there. But to answer your question, we moved here and I found myself pregnant without work, and I was craving red meat. Now, I'm from the Gold Coast, Australia, and I think a lot of Australians would agree that we're just spoilt for choice in terms of quality of product.
Yeah.
And I found myself really craving an eye fillet steak. Long story short, I went grocery shopping with my husband, who very quickly identified that the landed cost of steak for GYG was 1/4 of the price of what it cost in the local supermarket in Singapore. And that was not through any import taxes or duties on the meat itself. It was just the landed cost. And so we very quickly realized that we wanted to start a business that was purely online. So we didn't have the traditional overheads of a retail store, so no staffing costs, no warehousing, and obviously no lease. And it became a online store with a subscription offering so that we could forecast our order volumes and demand from our customer base very quickly.
Amazing. And so what year did you start that?
2014, I think it was registered, and 2015 was the year that my daughter was born and that we launched it.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So how did you do it with the newborn as well? Like, that's insane.
Now, we are sitting in Singapore, and I would be absolutely doing myself and the rest of the people that live here, or that are listening, I should say, to the podcast, and say that I did it all on my own. That is not the case. Yeah. We live in an environment where we're very, very grateful for the support we have with helpers. So whilst I didn't have a helper for the first 8 months of Harriet's life, something was going to give, and that was going to be me or the business or Harriet.
Yeah.
So we had a helper join our home, and to be honest, I think juggling being a mother and a business owner is not pretty in any way, shape or form. I'm not going to say that it ever was. But it was something that just blended life together, and you were never necessarily off. And that's kind of the way that we run our businesses now, to be honest, as well. It's a beautiful, beautiful blended mess.
Yeah. And how old are you? Because I know you've got 2 girls now. How old are your girls now?
They are 8 and 10.
Right. And do they have much to do with the business at all?
They are very passionate about it, actually.
Yeah.
So we also have a third business that started last year, another frozen yogurt concept in Singapore. And I think they actually struggle between which business they identify with the most, be it the Meat Club, Guzman & Gomez, or this other entity.
And so if my memory serves me correct, in 2014, the subscription models really hadn't come to life. So how did you connect that? Was it just purely from a business sense that you were like, all right, I need to understand the forecast, the demand, and that's the best way to be able to do it?
That's such a good question, actually. I think there's two answers to that. The first was definitely the order demand.
Yeah.
Because we were starting out, we couldn't come to the likes of our current suppliers and say, we're going to take a ton of beef and 2 tons of chicken every month. It was a very slow burn to start with. And so we had to justify to them that once we got customers on a subscription, they likewise had guaranteed forecast orders from us.
Yeah.
That was one element of it. So, having the suppliers on board. I think the second element was just being a new mum myself. I just realized that if there was one thing off my to-do list, which was grocery shopping, that I didn't have to think about, and something arrived on my doorstep on a regular cadence that was something I trusted, that to me was everything.
Yeah. And so you're importing the meat from Australia.
Correct.
So talk to me about the process of going out and finding your suppliers in Australia.
Yeah, so we work directly with suppliers in Australia that cut and pack the product for us. So sitting here today, I'm not a butcher I'm not a butcher in any stretch of the imagination. I'm more a logistics and marketing person. We could, for all intents and purposes, be importing pens, because I don't see it. It goes directly to our warehouse and directly to our customers' doors. When we go about finding our suppliers, we obviously need someone that has the capability of doing that cut and pack operation for us, because it would be very easy for us to bring a whole carcass up, but it brings into a question a lot of logistics, handling, food safety questions that we're not necessarily equipped for.
Yeah.
And so for us, it was really important to find people that could provide the quality of product in Australia that we could bring up here and be rest assured that it was just the same.
So if I ordered by the Meat Club today and I'm sitting in Singapore with you, when would I get my meat?
When would you get it?
Yeah.
So we have a cutoff time for next day delivery at 2:00.
No.
So you would still get it tomorrow.
No.
Yeah.
From Australia?
Yeah.
That is insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. And I really like how there's no middlemen in the process or middle people in the process. So you've really streamlined your supply chain.
Definitely. And I think to that point, COVID was awful for a lot of people and for a lot of businesses. I think, the stress that it put on a number of people were indescribable. However, I think we were in a very fortunate position at that point in time where people were starting to pay attention to, where is my product coming from? How has it been handled? Can I trust this?
Yeah.
And so it was a really beautiful storm for us, because a lot of people started questioning that as well. Like, is it coming from the right sources?
Do you think you can demand a premium price still in Singapore for Aussie meat?
I think we try and strike a balance between the really, and I won't name names, but the really, I guess, upper market supermarkets and butchers in Singapore versus, actually, we could take it into categories. You've got the very upper market butchers, like I described. You've then probably got the specialist butchers. Then you've got supermarkets, and then you've got wet markets.
Yeah.
And for those that haven't benefited coming to Singapore, a wet market is where you would buy fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, but also meat in a very open environment.
Yes, I've been to them before. They're interesting.
Yeah, and it's an education.
Yes.
So for us, I think from a price point perspective, we try and play around the supermarket world, because yes, we are premium, but we still want to make sure that we're accessible to the masses.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're in a situation now where the pricing environment is not favourable, and we're seeing that going up a lot.
Yeah, because one of the things that struck me with being in Singapore is I was expecting it to be out of control expensive. But what we're really seeing is that the Aussie inflation has really meant that the Australian market's really caught up to the Singapore market.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I was expecting to be shocked.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I actually find it a little bit more affordable than the Aussie market right now.
Isn't that crazy? And actually, on reflection, you're not wrong, because years ago when we first arrived and we were bringing things like beef and lamb in our suitcases because That's just what you had to do. There were a lot of instances where I'd get my mum to do a price check, on what things are, and eventually it's done a full circle moment where it used to be very expensive, and now it's like, oh no, it's just the same price, if not more affordable here.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. And so tell me about the customers that you deal with. Is it mainly expats, or do you have local Singaporeans as well?
Definitely expats to begin with.
Yeah.
I think as an Australian business that was represented by an Australian, we had what I call the first mover advantage with expats. So expats really tend to rally around each other in a non-Australian environment. So we were very fortunate to have their support from the beginning. Slowly over time, and I think this has been done a lot through our own education models, as well as everyone else becoming more aware of what is on our plate. We've seen that the trend has gone to 60-40 to almost 50-50 local expats.
Oh, wow. I mean, I have noticed, because we have been out to a lot of the retailers here, the amount of Aussie beef that is around.
Yes.
Yeah. So it is a real sense of pride as you walk around. Now let's move on to Yochi, because this is fascinating. So you bought a concept that I think you've seen in Australia and you brought it over to Singapore. So tell me about it.
Yes. So actually, prior to this, Yochi is my second foray into frozen yogurt. I had a concept that was ironically vegan called Cocoa Whip for a period.
Yeah.
And it really was a great training ground for me at that point in time. I hadn't opened a Xero account. I was a lawyer, so I'd never done any accounting before. So all this, new terminology was coming my way, and it was my mini MBA, because I lost money on that business in the long run, but I learnt so much. So I was so grateful for that failure.
Yeah, and it's probably cheaper than doing an MBA.
Correct. Very specialised, but still very, very. Actually, it wouldn't have been that highly specialised. It was probably more broad than I would have anticipated an MBA to be. And anyway, so Yochi has launched in Singapore as of August last year.
Congratulations.
And thank you so much. And I can't sit here again saying that it's all me. We've got a fantastic team. We've brought all the learnings from GYG into the Yochi model, and we're very proud business partners with the guys back in Australia. So it's a fantastic product. It almost, I don't even need to say almost, it does sell itself.
Yeah.
The recipe itself is 13 years young. It's been through now 3 different business owners in Australia, and the recipe's just been really well perfected over those years.
My daughter loves it. It's around the corner from where I live, so it costs me a small fortune every week. But you know what it's like with having girls. It's like whatever you want, darling.
Exactly.
Whatever makes you happy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's really got that like health slant to it as well.
Yeah. Well, I think the greatest benefit for us in Singapore is a lot of the milk here is actually reconstituted milk. So even though it might say Australian, a lot of it comes from powder and then is mixed here in Singapore.
I had no idea. So does that mean I've been drinking reconstituted milk in my coffee?
Look, I'm not going to sit here and profess to be a milk expert, but there was a point in time where we were bringing in milk from Western Australia, from a beautiful brand, if you haven't heard it already, called Bannister Downs Dairy.
Right.
Sue and her team in Western Australia do a beautiful job there. We didn't continue on with it just because the shelf life was relatively short, because it's pasteurised at a lower temperature. Mm-hmm. Anyway, during the process of importing this product, I came to understand a lot about the milk industry in Singapore, and I understand that even if it can be an Australian cow, the cow itself might not be in Australia. So it is,
wow. Okay, interesting.
Versus Yochi, which is from Australian, 100% cow's milk, not reconstituted.
Okay.
And we're very proud of that, because I think it really showcases in the yogurt itself when people enjoy it. It's beautiful. It really is.
And so I know that you've localised it here. So how did you go about making sure that you're making deliberate choices for the consumer to really, I guess, match in with their flavour profiles?
I love this, because we have so much to be thankful for. When I say we, my husband and I in particular, because we've had, people support us through the Meat Club, people support us through GYG. And in the instance of Yochi, I don't think either of us imagined how big a platform it would be. And so we've got 10 flavours of yogurt on the in the machines.
Really?
Yes.
10?
10.
I think only in Aussie there's 4.
Yes, there are more in some stores. So like some of
Okay.
the mass stores, like the Carlton one in Victoria has definitely got 10, if not more.
Okay.
And we are very excited to localise some of those flavours, but the R&D there takes quite some time, as you can appreciate. The toppings bar, however, is something that we can have a lot of fun with. So we do have evergreen toppings there that, might include lollies and chocolate from household names. But what we've been able to do is localise what we call our specialty. So something that Australia does as well. In our instance, it just makes so much sense to use the Yochi platform to elevate other local brands, heritage brands that have been started by a mum and daughter and might appreciate our platform to bring, a shining light on what they're doing. I know I would have certainly enjoyed that if someone had done it for the Meat Club. So it's just it's a real joy to be able to work with local brands and do that here.
Yeah, and I understand as well you did a collab with Pistachio Puppy. So tell me about that, because that's really trending at the moment over in Australia.
Yeah, Mark is an incredible businessman. And I think the product speaks for itself. It's absolutely delicious. We still have it on our toppings bar. Pistachio Puppy was a product that Australia had worked with, and they were very keen for us to do here. So we did a pop-up event with Mark and the Nonna and the whole team. Yeah.
So we just launched in collaboration with Domino's and Pistachio Puppy, the Pistachio Puppy Lava.
Oh my gosh.
We had Nonna, the baddie, on
Isn't
a
she
video.
gorgeous?
She's amazing.
Yeah.
So how did she open your store? What did she do?
We had a couple of things going on. There was a classic spin the wheel. We had a media board which you could sign. We had a pin the moustache on Puppy, so rather than pin the tail on the donkey. And then the Nonna herself was sitting in a very luxurious green chair and was there for like photo opportunities with all of our guests.
All right, so we've really just spoken about both of your businesses, which have two very different formats too. One is based on your health and your premium produce, and the other one really leans into indulgence and fun. Is there a difference as to how you run these businesses?
There is a difference in the sense that the Meat Club is purely online, and I've got an amazing team that work with me, Brad, our CEO, Ishan, our marketing manager, who has really brought the brand to life much better than I ever could.
Yeah.
I think I'm good on ideas, much less on branding.
Did you, coming from like a lawyer and a sports consultant, it's like you never think that they're going to, be the ideas person. So where do you think that's come from?
Oh,
in your world?
Yes. I think there is two things that played a big part in my life as a younger kid. One was sport. And this less comes down to creativity, just more drive and ambition. I never had anyone, force me to do sport. I was always the one up with my own alarm, getting myself ready. And I think that has carried through to today. And I think the other one was actually my first failed business, which was called Condiment Queen. So it was a business I started in Sydney, and I was selling condiments at the local farmers markets at Bondi. And I loved creating these condiments that I would sell, but I had no concept of what it meant to actually do sales and business development. And so obviously, the farmers markets is a morning exercise and ends mid-morning closer to lunch. And if I had excess stock, I really had to stop people in their tracks and start talking to them and encouraging them to buy the product. Otherwise, I was just going home with everything
I'm sure that wasn't hard for you.
But you were asking about how businesses are differently run, but I think those two things certainly help drive both businesses, but both businesses are run very differently.
Yeah.
So as I was saying, with the Meat Club, I've got a great team, Brad, Ishan, we've got an operations manager, Elfin, and an IT guy, Shamir. And they do a wonderful job at bringing the whole business to life on a daily basis.
Yeah.
We work very closely with our warehousing team to make sure all of the, pick and pack operations are done well, versus a Yochi, which has got obviously an online presence in its social media content and then its physical retail venue. And I think the point of difference with Yochi to some other concepts that might be out there is that it very much is a what we call like a third space. So if you think about when Starbucks started, everyone obviously loves having a coffee, but they really created an environment where you wanted to linger, you wanted to hang out, you wanted to work and study from.
Yeah.
And I think Yochi is very much creating a new version of that.
Yeah, it's the whole experience. So you come there for the food, but you end up staying for longer. Yeah.
Yes.
Beautiful. So you've spoken about 2 failed businesses.
Yes.
And you've had enough resilience to get back up.
Yeah.
And go again and have another crack. That's very rare and I don't see that often. So tell me about like the self-talk, I guess, in your head and the stories that you had to recraft around who you were as an individual to get back up and how you built the resilience.
Wow. I'm just trying to think back. Definitely the sports background helped.
Yeah.
Even when I was working as a lawyer, my sister was actually an Olympian. So, she was an incredible athlete and continues to be an incredible athlete. She's now retired from the sport of triathlon, but she won in Beijing 2008.
Oh, wow.
And I think seeing that as a younger sister, Emma's 4 years my senior, she went through incredible hardship from a young age. And I won't go into the detail of that, but it was just, there was never really a question in our household about, what or why. It was, if you wanted something, we all went after it.
Yeah.
And my parents were wonderful at that. Like I said, my mum was never badgering me about going to exercise. It was, and train, it was something that I wanted to do. And my father created a home environment where that was supported. So I think definitely sport. When I was working as a lawyer in Brisbane and then again in Sydney, I created a sports law division in both of those firms just to try and cross over those 2 parts of my life.
Wow.
And I was lucky because of Emma to work with the Australian Olympic Committee. So I think for me, it wasn't about the setbacks. It was always about what's next, like what more can I do or achieve, not to try and fulfill something that I already saw myself. It was just, well, why not? I never say no. And I always like to have a go, so to speak.
Yeah. It's so Aussie, isn't it?
Somewhat. Yeah. And I think the resilient side, I think there was a number of points where things like feeling defeated definitely came up, feeling stressed and overwhelmed definitely came up. But I really tried to eliminate those, particularly those words from my vocabulary and my mind, because I feel like stress and anxiety affects us all in different ways. And just like approaching a running race, you can use nerves to really bring you down, or you can use the nerves to really give you energy and take a step up. And I think it's the same with those 2 feelings. When you're feeling like there is a sense of dread or overwhelming, you can allow it to consume you, or you can allow it to be like a driving and energy force.
Yeah.
So I try and flip that narrative. It's taken a long time, but I think I'm in a good spot where I don't feel it in a negative way at all anymore.
So they say that nerves is the same feeling as excitement.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
you can, it's like a fork in the road. You can choose which one.
Yeah, so interesting. So you've got GYG, you've got the Meat Club, and you've got Yochi. What's next?
I think that will be it for now.
Your 3 babies.
3 babies. And, again, the teams that we have are incredible and they're super supportive. And I love the fact that we can help other team members grow with us and make sure that we're creating a very supportive environment for them to learn and for them to accelerate and for them to kind of reach whatever the goals they have for themselves in life.
You've got management teams in place. So sometimes it's really hard to understand between the chicken and egg and when you do it. So what were the tipping points, in particular the Meat Club, because I guess that's where we've spoken about, where you've got the management teams in. How did you know when to put other people in?
That was a question. I mean, it always comes down to the P&L.
Yeah.
A lot of the time.
Yes.
I think for us, it's very different for the Meat Club versus a Yochi and a GYG. Again, it's still P&L related. When did we know when to put more people in? I think it wasn't necessarily a question of when we knew. We just knew that we needed to surround ourselves by people smarter than us.
Yeah.
You don't know what you don't know, and I am not the best person at the board table at any point in time. And recognizing that, and knowing that everyone's got not just a different perspective, but a different understanding, a different viewpoint. So I'd like to think that I'm always relatively humble and making sure that I give everyone else a chance to have their say, because it's probably going to be different from mine. It's probably going to be better. And so making sure that you give people that lens and opportunity. The other thing I would say with the two QSR concepts in particular, GYG and Yochi, is that our management structure is very much flipped. Because I think what a lot of businesses will do is they'll look at the corporate structure in a traditional pyramid.
Yeah.
What we like to do, and what we've actually got on our office door, the Singapore Restaurant Support Centre, because whereas, and again, I just don't even like to refer to the apex, but we really try and flip that narrative, because when you are looking at it in this point of view, then it's always top down, and then that brings with it like a level of authority, versus if you reverse the pyramid and you look at your role as someone that is in need of, like, is a support role.
Yeah.
If somebody in the venue doesn't know what they're doing, it's not their fault. It's our fault, because we haven't got the systems in place to communicate what it is that they need.
So really it's about systems thinking, and then also being in service of the people. So very much something that I'm aligned with too.
Yeah, service of the team as well as the guest.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. And I think if you nail it from that perspective, it really takes it from, oh, I want to do this to I need to be in service of this person.
Correct. Yeah. And look, that's very non-traditional, but we are talking about, the F&B industry. I can't say the same would work in a traditional corporate structure. It's, it's worked for us.
Yeah, but I think you've got to think about things differently these days, right? Because it comes down to, if you don't innovate, you'll die.
Yeah.
Right? And that comes in all forms of leadership as well.
Yeah.
All right. So you've been here for 13 years now, and I feel like you really understand the economic environment and the way trends evolve and grow here. So what food trends have really taken off, and what do you think's next?
Oh, like really specific or more generalized?
Up to you.
Okay.
Maybe one of each, who knows?
Well, I'm definitely not an expert. Let's go more generalist. I think what's coming up next, do you know what? I probably wouldn't categorize it in like a particular, flavor profile or product. I think what we are seeing is this kind of concept of a third space. When you look at your day in a traditional sense, you have things that you may remember or you may forget. So how do I differentiate my brand from your everyday to my everyday? And it's all about creating memory peaks. I'm stealing this concept actually from a speak that I was recently at, where a guy presented on this whole concept. And Yochi has this nailed. We call it memory peaks, where you go in there and you have an experience that you not only will remember, but you want to share. Yeah. And it's that shareability, regardless of what the product is that you're consuming. It's the whole environment. It's how the team greet you. It's the music. Yeah. It's the lighting. It's the seating. And so I could be selling pens, but we just so happen to be selling frozen yogurt, and the product mix and the environment work really well to create these memory peaks that you will always remember. You will want to come back and experience again. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just resonating with it, right? Because in a world that, you're so, I guess, connected but also disconnected through. I love the concept of a memory peak, and it's really about that experience, right? And we can take it back into our work places as well, because, it's all about employee experience. So it's really interesting that it's starting to flow into, QSRs and that sort of space as well.
Yeah.
And if someone from Australia wanted to launch a food or a product or, start to import into Singapore, what sort of advice would you give them?
I think definitely come here, have a good look around. I think there are a huge number of malls in Singapore, and so the quality of the site that you might see can be very much dictated by the foot traffic that is in the centre itself. So making sure that you have somebody that can show you around, that can look at the real estate with a critical eye and give you some honest opinions and feedback. I also think that making sure that if you are working with, and this goes regardless of Singapore actually, is you always want to make sure that you've got an operator, not an investor, because you really need someone that has a hands-on approach. If the chef doesn't turn up, you need to be ready to come in and, cook the chicken.
Have you had to do it?
I have not, but my husband most certainly has.
Yeah.
And he continues to do so.
And I think that's also really humbling, right? As it doesn't matter how big you are and where you've come from, is that, you always at some point, if you own your own business, have to roll your sleeves up and get your hands dirty.
Yeah. I mean, I can remember going into the warehouse for the meat club in the early days, doing the pick and pack operation, and it's 30, 40 degrees outside, or however humid it is. And then going into the chiller in ski gear, because that's what we were having to pack in. And it was grim, but we've all done it in different shapes and forms, obviously. But I think definitely rolling up your sleeves is really important. So having a local partner, scoping it out for ideally a week, if not longer, to make sure you get a really good sense of the island, because you've obviously got, the CBD and the, what you would call the expat districts, and then you would look at the, the heartlands as well. I think just be adventurous with when you come out here with the different food offerings as well. Pay attention to the labour laws in Singapore especially. Make sure you get some advice around that. And then if you are still looking to live in Australia, then making sure that you've got all your corporate structures in place for tax and stuff like that.
That's some great advice.
I hope so.
Yeah, very good.
There's probably a lot more to add to that, but we'll round it at the 3.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on to Bite Size today, Amy. Yeah, it's been so amazing. And you've been our first international guest.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. What a high honour.
Yeah, thank you.
Pleasure.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Bite Size. We really appreciate all the support we've received. If you'd like to hear more incredible stories and amazing guests, make sure you subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify and YouTube. Bye.